and welcome to another episode of EMA Cloud Rants. As always with Jens Söldner. And Jens, we are talking about the 5 different ways of approaching your container management strategy.
Yeah, there is a lot of diversity and confusion, I would even call it, in the market, because people that have to work or want to work with containers, they're really coming from different backgrounds. They are the operations people like me, knowing their VMware toolkit, and then of course they're the pure developer guys, happy with Docker. Yeah, and there needs to be some way to help them all.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I keep hearing this, and to a degree it's true that Kubernetes management today is roughly where vSphere management was, or ESXi management with vSphere was 10 years ago. So,
At least, yeah.
The operators, they do not love that, right? They think, what is going on here?
Yeah, it's, I would say, quite complicated still. And of course, everybody sees the value in it. Everybody accepts that it is kind of the future that we have to get used to. But when I talk to my friends from the VMware field, even super experienced ones, I think they're still dumbfounded by the complexity of the field.
Yeah. And that's exactly the reason why our EMA research, primary end user research, also showed that we have over 90% of companies who say, no, we are not doing Kubernetes without a commercial platform for management. And we're also not doing it without a professional services company helping us do it. So let's jump into the first category, Jens, the pure play container management platforms. And obviously, Docker, I don't want to say they were the fathers, the parents of containers, because Linux was really the parent, right? They invented containers, and containers have been part of Linux for a long time.
And also on Solaris, of course, and other operating systems. Yeah, right. Yeah, but I think for Docker, the challenge is how to monetize the innovation that they brought into the market. But I think, of course, they did a good job there, but monetizing it is really, really hard for them.
Yeah, and the interesting piece, Docker is now, they're shifting. Now that they had to accept the Kubernetes reality and go away from their own swarm, they are shifting the differentiation point toward DevOps, toward pipeline automation, and not so much anymore purely operations, right? So it still is a silo, right? Because all you can do is you can manage containers.
Yeah, and my feeling is that's probably not enough, or you have to have such excellent aspects that people buy into you nevertheless. Yeah.
And Rancher and Heptio similar. Heptio maybe a little bit different because they are a service company and they are building their software from their experience with customers. It's a little bit like Mirantis was for OpenStack.
Yeah, so I think this pure play one is one category, but from my operations point of view, maybe the next categories sound more promising.
Yeah, and that is the unified operations model for everything from functions as a service, containers, platform services, infrastructure, down to the bare metal. And Jens, as an operations guy, that's what the operators would prefer, right? The true flooded VMware operators or Red Hat operators, if they can really manage the backup, the service levels, the performance, everything through one lens.
I think that's at least what our customers in the German and European market are demanding. So I think they wanna leverage their existing experiences, toolkits, and so on, and transfer them to this new world of containers. So of course they're happy when VMware and Red Hat and others are offering tool chains.
Yeah. So what are the big vendors here? It's Red Hat, OpenShift. Red Hat basically turned OpenShift into their cloud management platform where they're ultimately running VMs side by side with containers, which is an interesting aspect of things. Then VMware with their PKS, Pivotal Kubernetes Services, and VKE, which is the VMware Kubernetes engine, which is hosted directly on AWS, not on VMware on AWS. So quite interesting, but still tied to the VMware management stack. And then, of course, IBM is now delivering all of their software as containers for Kubernetes. Also very interesting, Jens. And then you see a lot of Cisco, I hear, and a lot of Microsoft Azure Stack interest, at least, right?
Well, yeah, Azure Stack is actually closely linked to Cisco because like Cisco is one of the premier partners that deliver Azure Stack. So I have two big customers, very well-known names in Germany that have been given, that have bought into Azure Stack on Cisco hardware, and they are in the experimentation phase at the moment, I would call it.
And that's
Yeah, they are
interesting because Cisco is doing their own thing too, right? And I don't see the Azure Stack on Cisco being all that successful compared to what Cisco is doing with their own stuff, right? And of course, they are pushing their own stuff more together with Google, which is the interesting thing, this interoperability between the Cisco platform and the Google platform, right? Diane Green on stage at VMware.
Yeah, we definitely do see this in the market. Of course, like they are fighting with the other vendors for the market share, but Cisco, I think, is well poised, and they have the ACI and the network. The network piece, that's also a very important thing with some sort of container integration.
Absolutely, and they showed at VMworld a very interesting demo. There was actually VMware that showed that, where you create you stand up your Kubernetes cluster with PKS, and NSX goes and configures the microsegmentation and the firewall rules automatically in the background. You have to do nothing at all, and then you can start using it through kube control. I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, and Cisco is kind of on the same topics.
So cloud automation platforms, Jens, that's our group number 3. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're also very, very relevant on the market. So I have a lot of like discussions with customers, talking to customers that want to have a more modern cloud automation platform. We've stopped using, or I think the market has stopped using the other previous term, multi-cloud management, because that was not so
Right.
didn't catch on. So when I talk to customers mostly about Morpheus data, they really are interested. So we have one big shop where they are considering Morpheus data as a front end for all their software development, pipelining, be it VMware, be it virtual machines, or be it containers.
Yeah, and
Big deal.
That's the interesting path. You have that flexibility of deployment paths. You are not dogmatically going for containers with everything. That's really what I like about this category. And the next category takes this even a little bit further. I want to call them application-centric Kubernetes management. They almost hide Kubernetes from you and use it as the scheduler and as almost like a hypervisor to run and manage applications and application releases. So Nemata, Pranix, Electric Cloud, Cloud 66 are some examples there.
Super interesting approach, I think. The question is it enough? Don't the customers want something more comprehensive that can manage all the other stuff as well? Or instead of going for something that does it super, super well and super specialized like these guys? I don't know.
Comes down to who's buying and how they're buying, right? If the operations guys are buying, I don't know that that's what they are after. But if AppOps maybe separately goes after a container solution, could be more interesting, right? And of course, DevOps groups themselves. Jens, finally, there is this, basically, let's call it managed Kubernetes. And that includes things like OpenShift on Azure and on IBM Cloud, where you get your management servers and your, in some cases, even the worker nodes fully managed. So you don't have to worry about upgrades and monitoring, bringing that in place, and general maintenance.
Yeah, so running these services on one of your preferred public clouds is, of course, a no-brainer because it's really rather simple to use. When it comes to Google Cloud, AWS, or Azure, you can really start using it, and they kind of invented it. So the people who invented it are still around at some of these vendors. So of course, they're doing a good job here.
Yeah. The concern is a little bit a technology lock, and you get on the upside very good access to the services. Like for IBM, you get, of course, all those Watson services. On Amazon, it would be their own SageMaker machine learning stuff. On Azure, it's the machine learning studio. So it's a nice integration that you're getting there. But on the flip side, you very quickly get addicted, and it doesn't work on another cloud. You're locked in to a degree. So thank you, Jens. This was another episode of VMA Cloud Rants. today we were talking about the 5 different angles toward container management.